Hey, welcome everyone. It is Ken here with my weekly recap ending on Friday, January 17th of 2020. Had a really big week this week. If you've noticed, if you've been watching my videos, you've noticed that my daily totals are starting to go up. And there's a reason for that, and I'll explain that here in just a minute. But one of the things that I want to talk about, and this is really important, is one of the things that I've discovered, and I discovered this many years ago actually, is that the markets do have a normal rhythm to them. Okay, everything does. I don't care if it's pork bellies, I don't care if it's Forex, stocks, everything has a natural rhythm to them. Okay, this natural rhythm is evident in the market 75 all the way up to 90% of the time. It's not 100%. Because there's going to be news events, there's just going to be things in the market that's going to knock it out of rhythm, okay? But what's interesting about that is that it does get knocked out of rhythm, but then it comes back in rhythm. Now, the program, or one of the patterns that I use is called the PAP, the Phase Adaptive Pattern. What that does is it keeps me in phase with that rhythm, okay? And I also know that when I am in phase, I know the markets tend to stay in phase for a while, just as when they go out of phase, they tend to stay out of phase for a while. This is really important when it comes to trading binaries. I'll explain that here in a second. Okay. Now, the market stays in rhythm, obviously, more than it stays in phase longer than it stays out of phase. That would make sense. Because when you look at the probability of my naked signals, you could see that the naked signals have very high probabilities, which means that it's in phase more than it's out of phase. Okay, so the reason you're seeing these wins starting to increase on a daily basis is something I've been working on. I have several years of data, and I've looked at every single one of my trades. And what I started to notice is there tends to be a sequence in the way that the markets have its wins and losses. Okay? So in other words, let's say, and this is just an example, this is not an actual pattern, but let's say that you're trading, let's just say you're trading the US yen, okay? And you know that it typically is running and stays in phase, 75% of the time, 80% of the time. What's very interesting is that there is a sequence, there is a pattern to the way that the wins and losses occur. Because when it's in phase, there's a certain pattern to the wins and losses, and when it's out of phase, there's a certain pattern to the losses. So what I've been able to find is that these patterns tend to also be very reliable in terms of when to add size. So let's say that you're trading and you notice that you've had 2 losses in a row. Once again, this is not a pattern. This is not what I do. But let's say you had 2 losses in a row and you found that that third trade has a 75% or 80% probability of being a winner. Okay. Looking at other factors, I would look to put size on that because now I'm increasing my probabilities even more that that next trade is going to be a winner. Okay. There are many patterns in just looking at the results of your trades, but you can't do that with just any program or any method. Okay. Using indicators will never provide that because indicators will never get you in phase with the market. They'll never keep you in rhythm, okay? And that's so important. And so because of the way that my particular patterns work, because I do know that they will keep me in phase with the rhythm, and because if you understand the method as my members do, they know that this particular rhythm in the market is never going to change, which means that the way that I trade, okay, and my method is never going to change. I'm always going to be hitting at really high probabilities, okay? And that's a given. That's been proven over and over and over again. And I've been watching this for now 38 years. It's not going to change, okay, because it works in stocks, Forex. It works in every time frame, okay. So I like the 5 minutes because it gives me a lot of opportunities, okay. So you can see my first win for the weeks were down a little bit, 70%. Still not bad, but last couple of weeks I've hit what? 100%, 90% of my first wins. 70% is still impressive. And what that is I am looking at my very first trade. I am not looking at anything else. I am not looking at the strength of a particular signal. I'm not looking at the win-loss ratios. I'm not looking at anything. I'm just taking the very first trade that comes in at the beginning of the session. And for the morning sessions, it's at 8 a.m. Central Time. And in the evenings, it's at 7 p.m. Taking the very first trade. So my very first trade right out of the gate, I'm hitting with what I would expect, anywhere between, 70 up to even 100%. 70 is actually a little low. I usually do at least 80%. Okay. So once again, this continues to show that the probabilities are there. Just going with a naked signal. And that's basically what that is. That's just a naked trade, just taking the very first one, not considering some of the other things that I teach. Okay. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at the PAP. This is the phase adapter pattern, one of the patterns that I teach, also one that I trade quite a bit. Okay. Now, one thing that I've done is I've added a little bit more information for everybody. And what you have here, this is the number of trades. So this is the number of trades for every morning session. And I'm trading from 8 a.m. till 3 p.m. Central Time. I'm getting ready to change that. I'm only going to be trading for a couple hours in the morning, probably starting next month, because I'm just not having enough time to get done with everything that I need to get done. I'm getting really busy working with students, and it's just going to be hard for me to stay and chat all day long and trade. So I'm going to limit my trading to 2 hours in the morning and, of course, 2 hours in the evening. But nonetheless, overall, you've had 67 trades with an 80% win ratio just on the naked signals. Okay, that's pretty impressive. Okay, we're not talking about 1 or 2 trades here. We're talking about 67. Look at that, 75 trades for the morning session, 88% on the euro, and so forth. Night session, obviously, I don't have as many trades, but this is over 5 total nights, starting with Sunday night, ending on Thursday night, 24.82. You can see the percentage, the win ratios are very nice, very high, where I want them to be, just on naked signals. Okay, because of that, that's why I'm able to find a sequence, or I can understand the rhythm of the wins and losses as well, and that's something that I capitalized on this week. Okay, and that's why you're seeing these really high returns, and I'm going to be sharing some of that with my students here shortly. There are a lot of patterns that I haven't found yet. Okay, I have found 2 of them so far. One that I'm getting ready to put a video together for my students and share that with them, so that will help them on how to adjust size. Okay, now let's go ahead and let's run over the dailies. As I mentioned, starting in January, I started to trade the dailies. I am not an overnight trader, okay? I've always been very short term, but had a big demand for it, so I figured, you know what? I would go ahead and try to put something together for those that just want to have dailies. In other words, you put it on the night before and you let it go and you just let it expire the next day. Because the sequence and the patterns, the rhythm is the same on the dailies as it is on the 5 minutes. It's just that when you're looking at your results, you have to look over a longer period of time. So, for instance, on the Aussie, where you're going to get, for the week, you're going to have 67 opportunities. On the Aussie US, in a whole month, you may only have 2 or 3. Okay, so your results are going to be, obviously, you have to look at your results over a longer period of time. But that's something that I'm working on. So what I did is I opened up a small little account, put $1,000 in there, and it's a separate account, and all I do is I've been trading the daily. So let's take a look at those results, and I'll show you what I'm talking about here. Okay, so here we are. This is started in January. These are my net profit and losses. What I actually made or lost trading these 10 daily Forex and a few commodities over here. Okay, binaries. These are dailies. You put on the night before, you get out the next day. Okay, the strike is based off the minimum strike. So in other words, let's say that I have a sell and it's a sell at 85.20. Okay, so that is the minimum. If you go up, you're going to increase your probability. So if you sell at 85.40, which is something I haven't done yet, I've just been trading the very minimum. Okay, and this is something that I need to really work with here, but I just don't have enough real-time data to show that I need to do that yet. Okay, and that's something I'm going to plan on doing this week. I'm going to be looking at these minimums, and I'll still put out the minimums in my daily reports, but I'm going to look to take the next strike up above these minimums and see what kind of results that I get. But you can see here, I broke them down. I'm trading all 10 right now. Once again, I will probably narrow this down just like I do with the 5 minutes. Some are going to be better than others. They're going to have more consistent results. I have a feeling that crude, gold, and silver are going to be very, very consistent. There was a gold trade and a silver trade. Unfortunately, I missed it, so I can't show those results because I didn't trade it. But I missed a couple really nice shorts on that, on the gold and the silver. But I was still able to catch, I think, a single gold here. Yeah, I caught a single gold here. Okay, so what this is these are the actual results. Over here, these are my net profit and losses, and this is breaking it down on a per binary basis. And you can see right now, I'm down $377 from the beginning of the month. This right now really doesn't mean anything to me yet because I haven't worked out all the kinks on the dailies because I've been very honest in telling you that I am not a long-term trader. I like short-term. So it takes a little bit more patience trading these dailies than it does a short-term, the 5 minutes. The reason I'm doing this is I've had a big demand for people wanting just to go with dailies. I guess they feel that it's safer to trade dailies. I have not found that. I have not found that to be the case. The premium tends to be a little bit better on the dailies the closer you get to the actual minimum entry strike. But then again, anybody that's been trading the 5 minutes with me knows that they can get even better premiums in this based on how you enter a particular trade. So, but nonetheless, I'm really going to work on this because I really want to try to come up with something for those that want to be day traders. They don't have the time to sit in front of the screen for a couple hours every day, and they just want to put their trades on at night and let it go. And I know I'm going to be able to do it. It's just going to take going to take a little bit of time because I need to know a couple things. I'm going to need to know what are the strongest ones that I want to go with because I don't need to be trading all 10 of these, right? I mean, you got an Aussie, you have an Aussie, right? You have an Aussie and an Aussie here. You have a Euro here, pound, 3 US, right? So I'll be able to narrow these down and don't necessarily need to take all of them. Okay, probably take one of the Aussies here, one of the Euros, one of the pounds, one of the US's. Gold, silver, crude gold and silver, probably going to stay with those because, I used to trade a lot of that way back when I was a commodity trader. So I understand those markets pretty well, and I expect those to do pretty well as well. But nonetheless, and so here what I also did is I broke it down. So you can see that the Aussie, once again, look at how many trades did you have on the Aussie? 2 trades, right? 2 trades. I mean, at 2 trades in a half a month, what are you going to get? 4 trades compared to what I'm getting on my, I'm getting what? In a week, I'm getting, 70, 80 trades. It's a big difference. So you have to kind of look at it a little bit a different way. But I am working on trying to figure out a way to have better results over a shorter period of time because I know a lot of people are impatient. They don't want to stick around. They have, they see that they're down $377 and they're going to throw in the towel, like I said. But that doesn't mean anything yet because we have to look at this over a longer period of time. So you can see on the Aussie, 2 trades, 78%. Look at that, Aussie US. That was really surprising to me to be down 103. You had 1, 2, 3, so you're only right 33%. Yeah, 33% on that one. Down 62 on this one. 100% was that. You had 2 trades there that was running at 100%. But this is not really enough data to even tell you on the percentages right now. I do have demo data that does go back to the first year. I'm going to look at, I'm sorry, that goes back to, I think, November of last year. And I need to break those percentages down and see what they look like. But right now, that's kind of where I am on a pair by pair basis. Okay, so going to work on that. So one thing I'm going to do this week on these dailies is I'm going to go ahead and I'll put out I'll put out the sell at 85.20, but I'll even mention in the email that I'm going to go ahead and take that next strike up and see what the results are for the week. The problem is you're going to get smaller premiums. You're probably going to have a little bit higher win ratio, but just like on the 5 minutes, there will need to be some adjustments in size, and that's just reality. Also, what I'm thinking, if you're trading, and this is something that I recommend on the 5 minutes, if you're going to trade the dailies, just stick with one. Stick with the Aussie US, or, this doesn't really mean anything. This could be the strongest one next week. But, find one that, and I'll come up with some numbers. I'll run it back to November and let you know which tend to be the strongest pairs for those that are getting the daily signals and my chat room members. But I would, once again, just stick with 1 or 2. That's all. Okay. And just trade them. Don't try to trade all 10 of them. I'm trading all 10 because I want to see what the real-time results are. I would not trade this way once I figure this out, because I like to trade just several pairs. Just like on the 5 minutes, I trade mainly 4 pairs. Every once in a while, I'll take the other, because there's only 7 different pairs on the 5 minutes. I trade 4 of them. Okay, there's plenty of money to be made on 4. And when you're starting off, even those that are starting off for the first time with smaller accounts, it's always good to go with just 1 or 2 pairs, and that's it. And just trade those, because you're going to be able to, you're not going to have as many losses. Okay, so like if you're trading, on one day, you can, obviously, you're trading these days, you can have all wins, right? And some days you can have mainly all losers. Well, that doesn't make sense. So you're going to really want to stick with 1 or 2 pairs. So yeah, you may come in here and have a loss, but then you have a win, right? Then you have a loss, and who knows I don't really know what the sequence is yet, because I don't know how these dailies, but I have a feeling they're going to be very similar to the 5 minutes, and that's something else I'm looking at, is adjusting size based on what I understand about the 5 minutes, but it's too early to tell yet. So right now, if you're trading this, and you're getting the reports, I'm going to go ahead and I'll put out the percentage of wins on each one of these 5, each one of these 10, and then you can decide, or 10, 10, and then you can decide on what you want to do, which one or which 2 to focus on. Understand that you're probably only going to get about maybe 4 trades per month per pair, but that's okay, because you got to look at it in over a longer period of time. If you're impatient, kind of like me, and you want to see results on a day-by-day basis, you're just going to have to go to short term. You're going to have to go to 5 minutes. That's just reality. That's the way it is. And so that's the way you've got to, if that's what you want, then you've got to come and trade 5 minutes. All right. So that's it for this week. I'm going to be doing a lot more work with that for all my members. That sizing video is coming out. I've been promising that. I'm going to have it out this week for you guys. Be talking about one of the particular patterns I found in the win-loss sequence, and that should help some of you guys in terms of when to add size. Okay? So everybody have a great week. I'll be back next week with my next update. I love the volatility in here. The markets are moving great, and I expect this next week to be just as strong as it was for the prior 2 weeks. All right, y'all take care. Any questions, comments, please leave them below. If you need to get a hold of me, you can go to my website, binaryprostrategies.com. And from there, that's it. You guys have a great week. Take care.